Translates the feelings lost, battles won in vain, searing the flame no matter what. The sun blood harvest loss and pain, only to learn the nature of love, the nature of love, the nature of love, the nature of love. Getting to know each other well. My deep admiration has changed into attraction as well as encompassing the curved waves that sway, forming seashells to hold against your ears and hear the sound of your true self. The nature of love, the nature of love, the nature of love, the nature of love. The nature of love, the nature of love, the nature of love, the nature of love. A natureza do amor.
All right. Hello, 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 hello. That's right. How are you today, friends, amigos? Rest in power. Rest in power. Eddie Van Halen. You have been the inspiration for so many kids, for so many gals and guys to pick up a guitar, pick up an instrument, start rocking. I think my very first time I bought an LP, oh my gosh, I'm old. I am completely, I'm just coming clean with you guys here in Austin and all over the world, in Brazil and Mexico. Un abraço, big hugs to y'all. Rest in power, Eddie Van Halen. He left us, Eddie Van Halen nos dejó el día de hoy a los 65 años de edad, at age 65. Rest in power for a legend of rock guitar. I know that there are players, musicians that are quite sad and honoring the legacy of Eddie Van Halen today. So I want to start by, sending a shout of love to his family and the fans. And first time I bought a record, I got an LP it was Van Halen and Dire Straits. So that was the beginning for me of starting buying music, of starting buying records. I was in Brazil in a grocery store back in the day. At the exit of the grocery store in Brazil, there was the record section. There was the cassettes and the records. And I always wanted to just allow my parents and family to do whatever they had to do. The only thing I wanted to do, even at age 12, 13, was just to hang out and look at the records, the art, the wackiness. And, eventually I got into the music. I believe I still, somewhere, those records exist that I got in 1988, I believe. Some Van Halen and Dire Straits. And then I never stopped buying records since then, actually. But good to be here with you. Qué bueno estar con ustedes aquí. Great to be building community, building resiliency. That's what we do when we come together. We share our stories, and when we share our stories, we find commonalities, or we find, I believe, we find resiliency, and that leads to stronger communities. And that's what we need now in this times of transformation, times of change in the world and in the community where I live in Austin, Texas. So if you just tune in, if it is your first time, hi, I'm Frederico7. I'm Fregi. I am a Brazilian Austinite. There are some folks that tune in Brasil. Beijo para vocês se vocês estão no Brasil. Abraço, beijo para vocês. Em México, em Latinoamérica, por toda Latinoamérica. Aqui estamos. Abraço a todos. I speak a few languages throughout the course of this show. That's the nature of the internet. And I want to send a special hug to all the folks at the Austin Music TV, Austin Music Channel, Channel 16. It's pretty amazing that we're able to bring some community to folks in many platforms. So whether you get your media on YouTube, on Facebook, or whatever, now we are also on cable TV. And what a great thing to be a part of the keeping Austin weird. Hopefully we'll keep Austin weird for a little bit longer. For as long as I'm here, I'll do my part. I like to start asking how you doing today, one day at a time. I'm happy to have Ryan Romana today. Ryan, he's a music publicist. He is an electronic music DJ. He's also a family man. He's a dad, and he's been involved, and a music lover who's been involved helping musicians tell their story, helping musicians to break through and have a message. And in these times of not being able to play live, and in this changing times when things get canceled or changing formats, and there is a lot of anxiety out there in the air, I thought that it would be productive to have a conversation with him and to hear what he's got in terms of maybe some tips for independent artists out there during these times. Next week, I will have here Nemegata. That will be next week. Love this band. Colombian psych dub. It's a mixture, delicious mixture of psychedelic music with Colombian rhythms. Very, very strong power trio. So I'm excited to be hanging out with them and interviewing them next week, Nemegata. And the week after that, my friends, mis amigas, the Tiara Girls, talking about so many things. We are in the season to get engaged and to get out and vote. And I want to talk to these lovely sisters about their experiences in engaging their music and leveraging their musical talent to get young people excited to participate in the elections. So that's all happening. So that's what I do. I come here, I share music with you guys, and I interview my friends. I interview my friends like Nemegata, like the Tiara Girls, or in a little bit like Ryan Romana with Press Junkie. Before we get to the interview, let me share some more music with you, my friends. Few weeks ago, I interviewed Atlas Mayor, another lovely band here in Austin, Texas. They have a new single out called Nazuk with very special singer from the Sufi tradition, a very unique, world-class singer out of Pakistan that this Austin band collaborated with. So that's the beautiful thing of these times of 2020, how local, through music sees no boundaries, and music goes beyond and elevates conversations, right? So we are having conversations in the country about so many things, and I believe that music just elevates any conversation. And Atlas Mayor is doing that, bridging countries and bridging cultures with music. So let's hear their new release called Nazuk with a special master singer, Ali Pedes Mehdi. Give me a second here so I can, properly do this. I know I have all of this technical things to get for you, but check it out. This is Atlas Mayor from Austin, Texas. This is Nazuk.
नाज़क नाज़क जट्टियां विच रोहीद रांदियां नाज़क नाज़क जट्टियां नाज़क 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 जट्टियां नाज़क नाज़क तीर चलावणकारी गुझड़े तीर चलावणकारी सै सै दिलड़ी फटियां नाज़क नाज़क जट्टियां कर दर्द मदां को जख्मी कर कर दर्द मदां को जख्मी हाय हाय बंधन न पट्टियां नाज़क नाज़क जट्टियां नाज़क 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 जट्टियां नाज़क नाज़क जट्टियां विच रोहीद रांदियां नाज़क नाज़क जट्टियां जटियां हाँ
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Amazing, amazing. That is, these were my friends, Atlas Mayor, Austin Band, and what a lovely collaboration. You could feel it in your bones, you could feel it in your soul. This is music going beyond borders, right? And we do this well in Texas. We do this well in Austin specifically. I joke with many of my friends that there is no such thing as world music because all music is world music, right? Eddie Van Halen is world music. Bob Dylan, Bob Marley, Willie Nelson is all world music, baby. So it's so amazing how the arts and music have this capacity to blur the lines and to play with the lines. That is always fun and just a beautiful thing. Great to meet you if it's your first time here. I'm Frederico7. This is at 7 with Frederico7 when I play some music from Austin for you guys, both online and here on Austin Music Channel 16. And share with you guys what's happening in town as well in terms of music and interview some wonderful people. And that's what we are doing today. In a little bit, in a few minutes, I'm going to bring Ryan Romana of PR Junkie to talk with us about his experiences in the music business, about his love of music and how he got into Austin scene and so forth. And hopefully some tips as well for independent artists during this crazy times of 2020. I am an independent artist as well, and I have not played barely any live music since early March. For me, my family, I have folks very close to me who are immunocompromised, and I have been very, very careful in playing anywhere and getting my band to be together anywhere. With that being said, I will be playing some music, and I want to invite you. This is going to be the first show we're going to do in a while at this place called Esquina Tango. Esquina Tango. It's a community center on the east side part of town, and they have done a lovely job on building an outdoor space with different wooden tablets that, as you can see here, and there is at least 12 feet between the folks, so folks can be outdoor, socially distancing in their area, enjoying live music. So that's what we're going to do, myself and 3 world-class musicians, Fumi Sugawara on guitar from Japan, Alan Uribe, right here from Austin, Texas, a great bass player, and Bruno Weinzoff from Brazil, from Pernambuco, Brazil, playing percussion, and myself. We will be playing some Brazilian music meets small town, some original, some Brazilian takes on things that you may love, and that will be happening on the 23rd of October. So, for those who who are looking for activities to do that are outdoors and socially distancing, that you can feel safe while enjoying live music at the same time, you can check it out at Esquina Tango Austin. So that's a fun event coming up that I want to let everybody who is starving from some live music. You just wanna you wanna get some, right? You wanna get some of that. So we're doing the best that we can. That's right. So that we're doing the best that we can so that we can do these things in a responsible way, keeping musicians safe, because musicians have families as well, so that musicians, the folks from Esquina Tango, and you and your guests, maybe you have a cocoon of folks that have gotten tested, and so 2 people, 3, 4 people, you guys could go together on a space over there. So it's an open invitation for live music in Austin. So yay, we are trying to find ways to do the socially distance and smart thing for you guys. Esa es verdad. That's right. All right, so I have, I think I'm ready here because I want to have a conversation with Ryan. I'm excited to bring him in today and to talk about his experience in Austin, in the business side of things. So as I see my throat and the allergies of Austin is getting to me, so salute, cheers, everybody. I got an organic pear from the Sustainable Food Center, one of my favorite markets in town. And I made pear juice, and I'm just adding to a little bubbly. Yes, because I had a special guest here today. So I definitely want to be refreshed. So guys, here is Ryan Romana. I'm going to bring him in the studio. Ryan, he is going to be talking about his trajectory in our city. He is a music publicist, an electronic music DJ, and also family man, which keeps him busy, I'm sure. So, hello, Ryan. How are
Hello,
you?
Frederico. I'm good. I'm honored. Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, it's great to have you, just having a conversation here with us. There are folks that are tuning in on social media right now, and there are some folks on Austin Music Channel 16. So it's just fun that we are in our rooms in our house, but we are sending the vibes out there, right?
Yeah, it's amazing, and congratulations for getting on Austin Music TV and just for this program. It's really awesome, and you're connecting the community, and it's a beautiful thing.
Thank you, and I will tell you that I was really almost started really for myself because as I mentioned before, I have been quarantining, and we would have these conversations in the back of the clubs in between a show or before or after a show. We would say, "Hey, how you doing, man?" And we have these conversations, and we are now deprived of them. So in a way, when having musicians and having creatives and folks like you, these are the conversations that we would be having, as we are in the scene, and maybe we can just bring them to the community. So thank you. But yes, I started this very much for myself, and yay, here we are.
It's awesome.
Yes, and before we really get going, I'm gonna just very quickly, I'm gonna give a shout en español, en portugués, a los amigos de América Latina y en México, un abraço. Aqui estamos com el publicista, a Ryan de Press Junkie, aos amigos do Brasil, um grande abraço. Estamos falando de música e como promover a nossa música. Yes, it is an international show, small yet international, which is great.
Can I say tudo bom? Is it tudo bom or
Yeah, you got it. Tudo bem, tudo bem.
tudo bem? Tudo bem.
Yeah, you got it. Beautiful. Ryan, before we start, how are you doing today? Just today.
Today?
What's up?
Today I'm doing well. I just feeling, thankful for still, doing the work that we do. Everyone I know right now is safe and healthy. Being at home working, but having my kids around. So I'm good. I'm definitely good, and have to take it day by day and just, count my thankfulness every day. How about you?
Oh, thank you for asking. Today, I'm doing way better in the second half of the day. I woke up a little bit of anxiety, but then I said no social media, no videos this morning. So that helped. So I'm doing way better.
Yeah, very, very smart, because getting onto the news is like a whirlwind every 30 minutes, really.
Exactly. So this morning I was like, let me, and at times, just listening to ourselves, it's not easy to do all the time. But we're gonna talk a lot about listening today, man. Ryan, how did you fall in love with? I know you're a big music fan, not but I'm introducing you to hopefully to some new people that don't know you today. But how did you fall in love with music? Was that a moment or a process that you're like, I think that was this time that things clicked, that I'm gonna be in this field.
So it's interesting. It was at an early age. So my parents both worked at a hospital. They immigrated from the Philippines, but they always threw parties in our basement, which my dad converted into a disco. He had a disco ball. He had strobe lights. It was like linoleum floors. And what he made me, my brother and sister do was entertain his guests, right? So we were like 7, 8 years old, and me, my brother, and my sister, I remember breakdancing for my parents' guest. And so we were doing a lot of breakdancing. And then as we got older, my brother and I and some of the friends that we'd have would start taking over like the DJing. My dad would have all these 45s, all pop songs. And it was like the 80s. So it was a lot of Madonna, Michael Jackson, whatever was like top 40. And so my brother and I would play DJ. And then when we were like, oh, let's try and scratch the turntable, little did we know that we were breaking it because it wasn't the type of turntable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It was one of those things. My dad was livid, but, we had to try scratching that turntable. So, yeah, it was growing up with a lot of pop music. And it wasn't until I got older, like middle school, high school, when I started getting into say more hip hop and R&B, a lot of like Tribe Called Quest and Beastie Boys, a lot of East Coast hip hop. And then all through high school, I was really big into skateboarding and snowboarding. So a lot of the music in those movies, whether it was punk rock, hip hop, that's what I got into. So I kind of got really involved in the skateboard and snowboard culture, and that kind of shaped kind of my music identity going into college. Once I got into college, I got into college radio, started a hip hop show. But during college, that's when I met my partner and wife, Mercedes, and she took me to my first rave. And
look at that. Yeah. Hi, Mercedes. Hello, saying hello here to you. And, memories of that first rave that you took, young Ryan here. Yes. Do you remember?
So that kind of opened my eyes literally to the whole world of electronic music. And there was a lot of elements of like drum and bass and like the punk, attitude and hip hop. And so my radio show switched from hip hop to electronic drum and bass, which is that sped up kind of breakbeat sound. And I started collecting records, just like how you said earlier, and buying a lot of, records in college, opening up credit cards to buy records. And even now my household is full of records, but it's so hard to just give up. But that's kind of like how I got to the point of being obsessed with music. It was just like at a young age, seeing how my parents entertained, getting involved in selecting the music, and then going to college radio. And then in college, I got an internship at a music PR company. And it kind of kicked off my career because it was called Ariel Publicity. Shout out to Ariel. She has a company. It's called now Cyber PR, and she does a lot of like training to independent musicians. But she handled all the press that was coming to the Fox Theater, which was the main venue on campus in Boulder. This was Boulder, Colorado in the late 90s.
That's right. Yes. Yeah. That was probably I remember in the 90s, a good amount of jam bands going through.
Those are the first musicians I worked. I worked all jam bands, acoustic hookah, leftover salmon. And I didn't know what I was doing, but I knew that it was fun working with music and then getting to talk about music to the media, to journalists. So I started off as an intern there my senior year. And I remember my boss was just like, this was before email. So it was like, here's a phone sheet, call all these people, tell them that this band's coming into town and see if you could get interviews. So just being naive how I was, I went down the line and kind of did a spiel and pitched it. And I started landing interviews for some of these bands. And Ariel was just really impressed because she didn't ever see like an intern do that. And then from there, that's kind of just got the bug like, oh, okay, I could do this. Like for me, it's pretty easy to talk about music to other people that like music. And if this is a job, oh, let me pursue if this is, something I could do out of college. And that's kind of what happened. I'm originally from New York. Ariel moved her company from Boulder back to New York, and she hired me. And so I did a lot of tour press, jam band press. On the side, I was DJing at some clubs, a lot of like electronic drum and bass. So I was keeping, that going. I was reviewing music on websites and for zines and stuff like that, just to get promos. So it was just like trying to cover all my bases in the music industry, just because I wanted to be so involved, right? I was so passionate, so driven. I was like, going to figure this out. And so it was like flyering on the streets, postering in the streets. I would do it all. And poor Mercedes, I would drag her to everything. So she would be with me, like 8:00 at night, duct taping posters around New York City, and just trying to make it happen. And that's kind of how my trajectory went from, growing up with it, being passionate in college, and then interning, and then finding a job eventually right out of school.
Man, it's great that it takes a lot of energy and grit to, at one point, like, oh, you may not even had the full vision, but just being in the awareness that like, oh yeah, I think I'm in this, I think, whatever in the industry, I think there is a path here that is just outstanding. And, and I didn't know, I think it was great to hear about your parents, I was just imagining the parties and imagining you already with that sense of what music can do to the mood, what music can do to change everything, right? The power of the music, like that awareness, so cool to hear how he, I always love those stories. And do you still, when it comes to electronic music, Ryan, do you still have a radio show, or do you still do some DJing? Are you still involved in the electronic music scene?
I started volunteering at Co-op Radio here in Austin 2 years ago. And so that's been very fun. Although with COVID right now, our show is on pause because no one could go into the studio. But it's called DPX High Test. It's Friday nights from 7 to 8 p.m. on Co-op's website, because 91.7 switches over to KVRX at night because they share the dial. But
that's right.
I do it with the co-host Dane. So shout out to Dane. He kind of invited me to the show, and it's been wonderful. But because for me, as you can imagine, I've been in the music business so long that just music in general starts kind of wearing and feeling like work all the time. And I wanted to kind of connect back to just the fandom of music and, presenting and curating music where I have no ties to it in like a business way.
Absolutely.
And so that's what that show has done for me. And, I've been on it for 2 years, and like, it is just super like relaxing for me to go on air and play the songs I like. And we started bringing in some like other local DJs to interview and talk to them and kind of get the community going too, because there's a big Austin electronic music community as well. So for me, that's just like an outlet. It's a creative outlet for me to, stay connected and keep my passion with music, because every day, all day, I'm promoting music, which, I'm very thankful and love. But sometimes, if you feel like you're burning out or you need to be rejuvenated, there's these other things that you could do to like keep it going,
Well, you are usually the guy behind the scenes, behind the camera, and today I dragged you to be on cam, which is a good thing. And I have here just the website for Co-op Radio. For those who live in Austin, is I'm sure or if you don't, you should be in the know. And in this particular site, you're invited to check it out because it tells you how you can get the streaming to listen to Co-op Radio 24/7, and you can find Ryan's show. Ryan, can you share the name of your show once again?
Sure, it's DPX High Test. So it's the letters D, P, X, and then High Test. and it's on Fridays from 7 to 8 p.m. online. And right now we're off the air, but hopefully next, fingers crossed, sometime next year we can get back to producing that show. But you could follow that show on social media at dpxhightest.com, and you'll see some, we have Instagram and a Twitter and stuff like that. But I hope to get it going and get that creative outlet for me.
Oh man, it's important. It is very important to keep finding the joy, leveraging the joy, because then when you go back to doing other things or being with your family, what I find is that then you just have that much more joy to share with them, right? Like if you're getting that release and so forth. So that's awesome. So man, that's great. Now. Talk to us a little bit how, I hear, you were in, there is a little bit of Boulder, a little bit of New York in the story, and then you guys come to Austin, Texas eventually. How does, or maybe through California or some other folks, but tell us a little bit, what was that journey to get to Austin, and then why Austin?
Yeah, definitely. So after New York, I ended up moving to San Francisco. That's where Mercedes is from. And I was in San Francisco from 2002 to 2013. And I think a lot of the trajectory of Press Junkie PR is because I worked at 6 Degrees Records. If nobody's familiar, they're a really big international music label that put out the Bel Gilberto, So, Kersh Calais, Chevy Sabat. So a lot of kind of cutting edge international music. And I was the head of PR there. So there, that's when I really cut my teeth. Ended up going to the Grammys because they got some Grammy noms, started dealing with like national press. And, while I was there, I found out, Mercedes and I found out we were going to have twins. And so around that point, I was like, okay, I'm going to try and do this on my own. And so that's when Press Junkie PR came about in like 2009. And let me tell you, knowing that you're going to have twins is quite the motivator. So, it was kind of like an idea that was rough in my head that,
So if you're watching the show, you're feeling unmotivated,
I was like, I'll slowly, get this company off the ground. And it was like, surprise. And I was like, okay, I have to make this work. It's like, it's all or nothing. And luckily it worked. But I would say, after the first year being in San Francisco, things were just getting tough. And I was coming to South by Southwest since 2009, 2010, just, for the event. And like, this is a really cool city. And one of my friends that is out here, his name is David LaBelle. So shout out to David LaBelle. He runs LaBelle Arts and used to be in Grupo Fantasma and everything.
That's right.
Yeah. He convinced me. He was like, hey man, if you come out here, do the family thing, I think you could do it. And so, one South by Southwest, I took out Mercedes and we did South by, but then we checked out the city, and then it just happened really quick. We got a realtor, and so pretty much we did it for like, quality of life and then the music scene. And then to our surprise, I didn't know many musicians here. It had such a thriving scene, and especially with the music genres that we deal with, which is international music, whether it's Latin, reggae, music from Africa, the Middle East, it was all here, and there was a vibrant scene of talent, and there was a community. So that was for me such a wonderful thing to come to when I came to Austin, and that was the beginning of 2013. And we still, when we moved here, had a lot of clients from everywhere. But once we started working with Austin artists, obviously working with like Grupo Fantasma, I think our name started going around, that we had the credibility. And that just opened our world to work, with so many talented people, including yourself. And it's been fantastic because of the community here. And I think that's very special. I don't think all scenes have it. I think, some of the bigger cities that I lived in are very competitive. And I think they don't want to kind of pull other artists or musicians up because they see them as competition. And when I moved out here, I think there was a lot more collaborating and a lot more welcoming that I've seen between musicians, and musicians just playing in so many other bands, kind of helping each other out. So to me, that was like a huge, eye-opening, like fantastic, wow, that's like everyone here is working together rather than competing against each other.
That is something that I also observed. I definitely can understand why that was your impression of the city. I have here right now, for those that are interested in finding out a little bit more about Press Junkie, I have your website there so folks can check it out either now or later on, and they're going to find out many artists, many campaigns, and many wonderful things that you guys done. And yes, I also felt that way, Ryan. That is the biggest reason I believe why I still live in the heart of Texas. I have family in Brazil who often, or friends who are often asking me, wait, you love the beach and you love the coast, and why do you live in Austin, right? And in the 90s, I had to explain more, a little bit more about what was happening. But now the city got to the point with the festivals, and as things have changed over the last 20, 25 years or 40 years or so, that now I don't have to explain much. Now folks already mention Austin, and people tell me, oh, yes, South by Southwest, ACL, or they say the name of artists and maybe a movie star who may live here. So it's interesting how that changed. Yet, one of the things that I observed, and I don't know how you feel about it, at times in the business, I see that Austin has amazing places to play, and of course now in COVID, many of our bars and venues, many of them are under threat. But it's a great place to play and to have a big festival. But in terms of, at least my experience, other elements of industry like music supervision or sync. We are not a major place like LA or New York, or even many international bands. We feel blessed that when you moved into town, oh wow, there is a publicist that lives in town. So now I don't have to, as an Austin artist, I don't have to go looking for someone in LA or New York who understands international music. So that is something that I have worked with PR firms that may not have understood a lot of what I was trying to do as well. How do you see the landscape of the business in Austin? Not as much in terms of the clubs, but more like, do you see that things have changed a lot? Have more industry moved into our city, or do you think there are areas that we could try to attract more business? How do you see that?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I moved here, I was hoping there would be more kind of industry people here that I could network with and bounce ideas off of. And I'm finding that at first there wasn't many. Like you said, a lot of the industry is the live music. It's South by Southwest and ACL and C3. But I think more and more folks from here are kind of coming up and stepping up. I've seen more managers kind of popping up lately, and some booking agents, which for me, I think is a very positive thing. Because I think the more music industry people hear, like you said, the more you don't have to search, out of town, out of state. And I think the in-person, when we can get back to in-person meetings, is really important to get that connection. Like you could really feel someone out when you meet them in person rather than just over the phone or even through a screen. I mean, we could get a better sense through a screen, but kind of really feeling someone's energy and see if you guys have synergy or you could work together. A lot of that, I think, takes place with in-person meetings. So I do, I'm hopeful, and I think it's encouraging that there's more people coming up in this industry. And I kind of think with COVID that more music industry people are going to be moving to Austin, just that now that people could work from anywhere or work from home and keep their jobs, I have a feeling that there might be some music industry people coming from maybe New York or California in the next year or so, because maybe they see the things I saw, like, quality of living, cost of living, being able to have a family and also a business, and I think that's lost upon in some of these bigger, more expensive cities, is that, they don't have that. I mean, here, like ACL to me is amazing that I could bring my children there and feel like they're safe and won't get lost, So like my kids have been coming to the ACL festival since they were 2 years old. And, it's just now that they're getting excited that they're old enough to like understand who Billie Eilish is or Lizzo and get really excited to be like backstage and stuff like that. So that to me is really awesome because, it is, a music hub, but it's also family friendly. And like how you said, I'm a family man, like that's pretty important for me to kind of balance that. Cause it's hard to balance the family in the music industry, honestly. And so that's what I really love about Austin.
Yes, I see that many musicians, also always relatively, but for many musicians that I've met, they also mention, yes, this issue of balancing family, balancing the business, and Austin being a good place to do that. It's interesting that maybe we may get some more folks now during COVID as well. So I'll be watching out for that in general, where how the landscape can change. And thinking about the changing landscape, how has it been for you guys at working with artists now? Let's talk a little bit about your work and are you what kind of campaigns are you working on now? Are artists doing things a little bit different? Are you noticing a slowdown or an uptick on more musical releases? As a music publicist, how are you seeing this last wacky 6 months that we've had?
Yeah, no, it's a great question because it's been a roller coaster. Not only I think for us, but just for musicians in general. And so right when it hit around South by, there was a bit of a halt, I think, with a lot of the artists we work with, and that's I think because nobody really knew what the touring landscape would look like, right? So a lot of artists that usually put out an album, they're going to tour around it, and they have tour dates set up. So there was a big halt to hold back on PR and publicity until they figured out, well, what's going to happen? Let's try and time it to when we could tour again. But, as things progressed and artists realized that wasn't going to happen, a lot of musicians came back, and a lot of the strategy now has been singles. And I think since artists can't tour, they still, want to get their name out there and get their music out there. So music they've been holding on to for a while or wanted to package it with something else, they're just getting it out there as a single. So we've been kind of pivoting from working a lot of albums to now working, as you can imagine, a lot of singles.
I see.
And singles are a little bit different than albums when it comes to the media because there's not, an overall theme that reviewers are going to review. But that being said, I think it's kind of changed across the board for most musicians. So writers are getting used to that. And with the rise of playlist, they're getting used to adding, these songs to their playlist that they update every week. So I think we've seen more singles now than ever coming out where, the single was used for the album. And I think, musicians that may be still working towards an album, they're not really holding on to their music the way they used to. As far as the press side of things go, there's been another, huge change there because many of the writers have been furloughed or laid off. So, a publication now only has one editor and they get inundated with pitches from publicists like myself or musicians. So it's definitely taking a lot longer to get responses. And, as a publicist, we're following up way more times than we used to. As far as I think musicians right now, what they can be doing, I would say definitely keep creating. If you feel inspired to, obviously with these times, it's also okay not to create because of what's going on. But if you still feel, inspired, I would say keep creating music, keep putting out music. And now is also a good time to, reach out and collaborate with people that you've always wanted to collaborate with. I think now is a good time for musicians to, seek out other musicians that they may feel aligned with. And if it's not other musicians, maybe organizations that they feel passionate about, reach out to those organizations and see how you could get involved as a musician, or if there's anything you could do for them to help them get the word out on things. I think now's the time because people are looking for that connection. I also think, keeping up with your social media, although, it's not the most fun thing to do, your fans want to still see that you're doing things, and even just letting them into your life every day. So I think keeping up with your social media is also really important right now. And live streaming, I think this new section, like what you're doing, Fredgy, is a whole new avenue of the industry that's like exploded for growth. And I think it's something that's going to stick around even after live concerts come back. And I think the main reason for that is that there's a whole demographic like myself, I'm 42. So I think 40 and up is going to, they can't go to concerts as much as they want to because of responsibilities and whatnot, but they still want to feel connected to an intimate show or concert, and are even willing to pay some money to see that point of view, So I think those four things, keeping up with your socials, reaching out to other musicians or organizations, live streaming, and still trying to put out music or creating music. I think those are, some important things that musicians could do right now, especially with touring, not being there.
And that is just very good, succinct advice that I can chew on. And I see often my career. A friend of mine once mentioned a creative, look at it like a plant that always you're watering this plant, and look, there is a new branch here. That can just by tending those things, your social media, it's not about the social media per se, but it's about the connection, like you say, right? It's actually about other people feeling like there's an authentic connection there. I think that's very important. And folks like Atlas Mayor that I played there, I interviewed them a couple weeks ago and I played their song. That's an example of them. Beautiful music, and them reaching out to a singer that is at a particular tradition that doesn't live in Austin, who is very well known across the world. That's an opportunity, right, for musicians to see the world a little bit smaller. I'll share with you now that I haven't told many people, but it's happening. I have my very first virtual recording session this Friday with Sidão Santos. He's a bass player, a Brazilian bass player. He plays with Seu Jorge.
Wow.
So basically I got Seu Jorge's band. So hey, Seu Jorge, how you doing? I'm borrowing your band for a couple of songs, but this opportunity would not be happening. Yes, it is awesome, and I'm psyched to bring that music to Austin and to share those musicians with our city. But my point, to illustrate what you just said, I would not be recording with the highest caliber of Brazilian pop artists right now, but they are sitting around they're not touring, and they are desperate for studio work. They want to work on any music. And when I called, it's not that they didn't want to work before, but they were busy. They were touring, and now they were like, oh yes, please, now is the time. As a matter of fact, do you have more songs? Because so they set up a GoPro with screens. So as they are recording, I'm gonna be giving them. They don't need my feedback, really. They're great, but I will be watching this studio session from my couch as they are in São Paulo, Brazil, doing the recording. So that kind of thing illustrates.
Amazing.
Yeah, it illustrates what you're saying. We can reach out to people across town or across the world, right?
Yeah.
Man, that is great. I do this with my friends that I bring here on the show. So I have some images here that I pulled.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah. So you just tell me the very first thing that comes to your mind when you see some of this. So we'll start with this image here. All right. So what's happening there, my friend?
Awesome. So yeah, before we went remote, we had an office in South Austin, and we're a very small company. It's my partner Mercedes, myself, and Darian, our fantastic coordinator, and so we rely heavily on interns, and we always get interns from UT and Texas State, and this was one of the goodbye semester intern things we took them out to, and as you can see, after a few drinks, we were all pretty giggly and happy to take that photo.
But that's how you got into the business as an intern, and you got to see
Yes.
the business from that end. So I think that working with you would be just amazing because you were in their side of the business and you got to become a publicist from being an
Right.
intern. So that's cool. And what's happening here? Where do you know where this was taken? Do you
Yes.
remember?
I do. So this was at the legendary VP Records, which is a legendary reggae label out of Jamaica, Queens, New York. And so I was very giddy to meet with them, and so took a picture in front of their records. And that's my partner and my wife Mercedes. As you can see, we're very smitten to be at VP Records in front of all those vinyl, and they actually gave us records, T-shirts, posters. So I was like a kid in a candy store fanning out on this reggae record label.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Sounds like such a great time. I'm going to take a quick break because in just a few seconds, we're going to
Sure.
keep going, but the folks from Austin Music Channel, our feed to them will come to an end in just a little bit. But so if you're watching this on channel 16 right now or on Roku, on Amazon, thank you for your presence. And if you want to catch the rest of this interview, you can reach my social media, Frederico7, Facebook, and YouTube, and you can see the rest of the interview. And next week, we are going to have the amazing Nemegata, a Colombian psychedelic band. We're going to interview them, so I hope you can see you guys. And then 2 weeks from now, we have Tiara Girls, my friends. We're going to talk about their efforts of leveraging music to get out the vote. But thank you. And back to you, Ryan. So I have some more photos here. You're like, what is it going to be? So talk to me a little bit about this one. So you've been working with the California Roots Festival for our reggae lovers. Is that true?
Yes. So we've been working with the Cali Roots Festival since I want to say 2015 or 14. So it's been a long time, but it's been an amazing journey because when we started, it was big, but it just kept getting bigger and bigger. And the programming is really amazing. The booker does an amazing job, and it's everything from American reggae rock to some of the legends in Caribbean reggae. And as you can see, you have, hip hop stars like Nas and Jurassic 5. And this is held every Memorial Day in Monterey, California, which is a beautiful, beautiful place. And, it's just painful that it was, didn't happen this year and they moved it to next year. But it's been a fantastic festival, and we go out every year to handle all the media. We're setting up the media room and making sure interviews happen, and Sirius XM comes out. So it's one of our favorite times of the year, and that year was very special for sure.
Yeah, no, it's just in general. I love this festival, and maybe one day I'll come to visit if we ever get to a point where we're out there and about. Actually, one of the tunes, two of the tunes I'm recording with those guys are reggae, so maybe I'll try to play some reggae. Yeah, well, so I cannot wait to share. Let's see here. Okay, talking about reggae. That's one of my favorites.
Reggae. Yeah. So that was at Cali Roots, and I usually try and be very professional and not. But, it was Collie Buds, and we were working Collie Buds' album at that time. So he was doing interviews, and I think in between interviews, I was like, "Hey, Collie, let's take a photo." And those are the moments that make it so worth it when you've listened to an artist for so long, and the next thing you know, you're working with them, and they're very appreciative of what you do. It just makes you feel like, okay, all this hard work and grinding that I'd had to do for years, it pays off.
Yeah, and I like about, as someone I've worked with you, and I like about you that you care about the music as well. I mean, you do you know your space and your niche in the industry, but you have an appreciation for the music, and I think that authentic appreciation that you have for the music only helps your relationship with your clients and so forth. So that's and then you get to the rewards, right?
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
brown out.
our friends here, and I put this picture because I was thinking maybe some of these guys were the first ones that you work with in Austin a little bit.
Yes.
Phantasma and Brownout.
Yeah, definitely. And actually, I worked with them before I moved here because at 6 Degrees, they put out one of their albums. So I was their publicist from the label before I moved out here. So getting to work with them and continuing to work with them till this day, it just feels fantastic because I started work with them back in 2012, I think it was. But yeah, this moment was fantastic because, I mean, I wish I was there, but I wasn't. But setting up the Tiny Desk concert for them was amazing. And every time that does happen, it just feels so lucky that to get these artists, all the artists recognized on a national level, to me, just, it feels very accomplishing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I since you're saying that, I must give you props because when you worked with me on my record last year, it was great to get some national press and to have the press in the right places. Actually, yeah, right here there's a picture.
Hey.
So that was us working together sometime South by Southwest 2019.
Yeah.
So I definitely hear you when when we get our work in a bigger platform that enables us to keep doing that work. It's not just about the work that was done, but for the artist, it's about, wow, if I this may give me oxygen for another year and a half. So that's another part of your work that is really important. You mentioned earlier artists working with organizations, artists coming together, doing things a little bit out of the box in these times of COVID. I felt that this was a good example, and you so gracefully, you guys worked on this campaign or helped in one shape or form. So tell us a little bit about what is No More Silence.
Yeah, so this idea came from a conversation with Nico Sanchez from Superfonicos. Shout out to Nico. And he was telling me how, he just didn't feel the right time to release music, or when the right time was to release music with everything going on, with social justice and the Black Lives Matters movement. And he told me there were other artists that kind of felt the same way. And so we kind of came up with a conversation of like, what if there was a way to, put something together that could benefit, this movement and this time. And I was very keen to what was going on with Bandcamp. I think right now what Bandcamp is doing for artists is amazing by waiving their fees every first Friday of the month. And so with that in mind, this idea came of No More Silence, where, Nico and specifically, Leyline, they reached out and kind of brought together artists in the scene to come up with this compilation where all the benefits would donate to the Austin Justice Coalition. And so it was a beautiful thing to see just come together. And obviously, we wanted to help push that any way we can. And when they said they had so many submissions, there was going to be a volume 2. It was like astonishing. I was like, wow. So we pushed volume 1. I want to say that came out in July, and then the next volume the following month. And I hope there's more of this. And then this is exactly what I mean when I say Austin has such a great music community, especially with all the artists I get to work with in the international music scene, like yourself and others. It's just how this came together. It came together in like a week or 10 days, and I couldn't believe how fast it worked. But it came out beautifully, and it's really awesome to be a part of it.
No, definitely. And, so once again, the tip here for anybody watching this, and a lot of people, most folks ended up watching this afterwards. So if you're catching this in another day, you can go to Bandcamp and you can look at the compilation No More Silence. You're gonna find it, the No More Silence compilation, and Volume 1, Volume 2, and you help the Austin Justice Coalition when you support that, when you buy your music over there. Man, this is so many great stuff. I think I have one more from you. I saw this one. Okay, so there you go. This one ties together with this one.
Yay.
So, and I was part of that fun day. So 10 years, you guys, now 11. So what was happening there? Tell us a little bit. What were you feeling? What was going on?
Oh, wow. Well, as you know, we're so behind the scenes as being, publicists and helping the artists get the word out that we felt like our 10-year anniversary was coming and we needed to like celebrate, And so, we decided to throw this event at Stubbs in August that marked our 10-year. And I'm very thankful, Fredgie, you were part of it and played. And we also had Kelly Hafner at the time who was working with us, although she moved to California and we miss her. And then we had El Dusty, who, we've been working with since like 2014 or 15. And it was just a really fun night to celebrate. And, we got that proclamation from the city. And that's we just feel honored because, again, like other cities, they don't have something like that honors, musicians in their city in a way like this, or even an organization or a company like ourselves. I mean, it's just like very humbling that the city could do something like that for a music PR company. I got to admit, it was a lot of work and pretty stressful because we don't throw events. But in the end, it was rewarding to just like, hey, let's celebrate a little bit. Let's keep it going. And just, let's be thankful for all the artists and musicians we get to work with because, we know how hard it is that musicians put their blood, sweat, and tears in their music, and you guys entrust it to us to promote it as best as we can. And so, the least we could do is just, say thank you to everyone that gets to work with us because, without the musicians, there wouldn't be Press Junkie PR.
Man, I hear you and right back at you for always looking at the campaigns and trying to do the best and shooting for the stars and that's I'm always if I shoot for the stars and I get halfway there, it's pretty good, So it's been just as of experience, enjoy the process working with you guys as well. And I enjoy having you here, Ryan, today with some really good words for folks out there that be feeling a little bit discouraged, Sometimes I hear, oh, maybe this is the time for me to get out of music. But hey, music's not going to get out of yourself. Maybe it's about reinventing yourself a little bit and finding ways around it. So by seeing these things like with Superfónicos and Leyline and how they are getting other folks together and people coming together in your circle, we can do some fun stuff and hopefully keep afloat until who knows, until we get control over this virus and get back to having more live music or the new of music, whatever that may be. But thank you so much, man.
Thank you. Gosh, I feel very honored. Like you said, I'm always behind the scenes. So to put a spotlight on what we do is just, very, very humbling for that. And I like to say again, congratulations. What you're doing is really important. And I think people feel that and it's resonating. And I see why this, is going to be successful for you because you're bringing the community together. You're giving a platform and you're doing it in an authentic and entertaining and engaging way. So keep doing what you're doing. Hey. And I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, man, we want to bring you back sometime next year, maybe next fall, because it's going to be very interesting to see where we are in the cycle now and what we would be up to then. But in the meantime, Ryan, thank you for all that you do. Say hi to Mercedes for me as well. And And we'll be in touch for everybody in Mexico, Brazil, and Austin. If you're interested in more about music, and if you're looking for a publicist, maybe this is a good fit. You can definitely check out y'all's website, which is right on the screen right now. So thank you, Ryan. See you next time. I appreciate you being here today.
I appreciate you, Freddy. Thank you so much for everything.
You got it, man. Obrigado, as they say in Brazil.
Obrigado.
Ciao. Yeah, great, guys. Always a pleasure to know more from folks in the business and to, solid resources and a background into how to get into the music business and how folks like Ryan have leveraging their contacts and their hardcore work ethic to the benefit of musicians. Hello there, if you just arrived, I'm Frederico7. Today has been the 12th episode. Yes, I have been hanging out with Ryan Romana, Press Junkie. Very happy to be doing so. Next week, la semana que entra, próxima semana, pam, pam, pam. I am so excited for next week. Yes, I am. Yes, next episode with the Colombian psychedelic rock band. Well, rock, dub, music speaks for itself. Let's talk with Nemegata next week. Nemegata, one of my favorite bands in Austin in the last year and a half or so. So 1 week from today, I'm going to be having a conversation with them, and we're going to listen to new music by Nemegata. So they got some new music for us. And then 2 weeks from now, with Las Tiara Girls, whom I've met several times working in Austin, and I really admire how they leverage their art to get young people out to represent themselves. And we are in an election season. It's going to be great and very inspiring to be talking with them as well. So that's what we got going on upcoming in the next following weeks. Yes. I am here in social media. I am also on Austin's cable TV in different ways that you can find the show. Very thankful for that. Muchísimas gracias for all of the support, guys. Yes, and it's about time to say goodbye. For those of you guys that are really missing live music, you really need live music in your life. I haven't played in a while, and I am going to finally have a concert outdoor, socially distancing in a safe environment at La Esquina Tango on the 23rd, Friday the 23rd. I think that this very special designed socially distanced platforms that you can buy your tickets, I think they're going to go very fast. So if you are interested in catching some music, with Fumi Sugawara on guitar, with Alan Uribe on bass, and Bruno Vainzoff of Pernambuco on percussion, you want to visit the esquinatangoaustin.com to get your tickets, because I'm pretty sure they're gonna go. Pretty sure they're gonna go. That's it. So amigos, big hugs for y'all. Love you. I'm gonna play last song for today. This video that I'm gonna play for you guys, it's Transcendental Blue, a little vibe from the ocean. Let's go to the beach together. Okay? Wanna go to the beach with me? Vámonos. I say let's go. To the Yucatan Peninsula. Transcendental Blue, Azul Transcendental, a cut from my record Exótico Americano. Been great to have you. Been great to be here. See you next time. Here is Transcendental Blue. Beijo.
Esperança à toa, quando a paixão é boa, Quantas vezes já caí e até pensei em desistir. Não existe outra pessoa que faça e que destoa tudo aquilo que aprendi e o pouco que já vi. Mas sou homem, pobre homem. Não se assombrem, é só um coração que não dorme, nunca come. Não existe dor e nem desamor que o abandone, nem a fome de querer amar quem nunca o amou. Só uma estrela que o adorme e transforme o seu na essência do amor. Esse azul transcendental do mar, querendo amar, amar, amar. Sei que queres flutuar. Nesse azul transcendental do mar, querendo amar, amar, amar. Há derrotas que amargoam, nos jogam pela proa. Ciclos de medo e receio, cinismo, tudo é sempre feio. Entre nuvens carregadas, falsos risos e ciladas, quis abrir meu coração, ser fogo, alma de vulcão. Mas sou homem, pobre homem. Não se assombrem, é só um coração que não dorme, nunca come. Não existe dor e nem desamor que o abandone, nem a fome de querer amar quem nunca o amou. Só uma estrela que o adorme e transforme o seu na essência do amor. Nesse azul transcendental do mar, querendo amar, amar, amar. Sei que queres flutuar. Nesse azul transcendental do mar, querendo amar, amar, amar.
Much love, much love, much love. Be well, one day at a time, one day at a time. Much love. See you guys next Tuesday. I'll be here with Nenegata, one of my favorite bands. Gonna be great. Love you, love you, love you. Take care. Bye bye.